got to share with you quickly what's coming up tomorrow. Now, if you're likely aware, your children always will remind you. Uh, Friday is Veterans Day. Tomorrow, we're going to have a couple of guests who are going to be talking about some things that are related to military and military service. You may have been hearing some of the promos on the air that I've recorded or that I've been giving you live. They've been playing the last couple of days about the Marine Corps Ball coming up here in Twin Falls tomorrow night. We'll have a guest in studio with us tomorrow talking about that event and how you can participate because the Marine Corps has been around, gosh, all the way back since it was founded at Tung's Tavern. Uh, it just tremendous history there, and the Marine Corps history is American history. Also, there is a dedication this weekend for a very special monument in Jerome. It's taking place on the 12th. We're going to have Jerry Brown in studio tomorrow. Many of you know Jerry, and you know that he has worked tirelessly to construct this monument to Idaho's fallen, fallen troops. And of course, he lost his own son Dan at war just a few years ago. Jerry's planning to be in studio with us tomorrow morning as well. You can reach our program today. Still no sign of Hillary Clinton this morning, although it might be soon. Tim Kaine has just come out on stage. Do you ever notice Tim Kaine? If you ever stop and you think about the movie Batman, was it the first Batman movie where Jack Nicholson played the Joker? You ever notice Tim Kaine's resemblance to that Joker character in the movie? So he's apparently going to start talking because I don't know that Hillary has any voice left. Uh, it has been just a whirlwind of events the last 24 hours. Our telephone number, if you'd like to reach our show today and offer your thoughts on the outcome. You know who we haven't heard from yet today? He was babbling on yesterday about 538 blog and the liberal Nate Silver and how Hillary Clinton and you better learn, fat boy. We're going to beat you, and and all of my cousins are coming here from Juarez, and they're going to eat your lunch. Haven't heard from that guy this morning. Does it strike you that perhaps he may be packing up and moving back across the border at this point? I got to think there's some tremendous, call it fear in that community, and maybe it's not a bad thing. Maybe a lot of people who've been here scamming the U.S. government and the taxpayers for generations, maybe just the notion that Donald Trump is going to be president in a couple of months will be enough to have them decide it's time to go home because we're not going to put up with it any longer in this country. I was talking to Benito Baeza this morning, and I said, I don't know that Trump will literally build a wall, but the border security will be increased. That's not a bad thing, is it? And I also said to him, I think he'll work out a deal when he says I'll make Mexico pay for it, where he'll take a certain amount of workers for our agricultural industry that will be allowed to cross, and that'll be Mexico's payment in exchange for helping enforce border security. We have a caller with us. It's 9:36 now. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. What's on your mind?
I listened to Donald Trump's speech when he accepted this morning about 1 o'clock, and I say that man has a lot of elegance in him, and I think that was the real Donald Trump that we heard give that talk. And he wants to really believe that America can become great again, and I think he'll. I've been around building all my life, and a builder that knows what he's doing can save this country.
I thank you for the call. I agree with your sentiment. I watched the speech too when I got home, and it was close to 3 o'clock in New York where he was giving the speech. That was the amazing part of all of this. I had friends who were still awake on the East Coast because they just couldn't. They were so keyed up they couldn't get to sleep. They were watching it as well. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on Top Story. Go ahead.
Now, as much as I talk smack, I'll compliment you. Yeah, congratulations.
You lost, Bubba. You lost. Did you hear that?
No, but
you lost. Hey, the public has had enough.
Allow me to say this. Okay? Best friends I heard is they voted to screw themselves, and they're stupid enough not to even know it. So that's what I think.
You hear that, all of you dumb dummies out there? The guy who can't even speak the language is telling you that, You've ruined your country and you're too stupid to know it. You know what ruins my country? Parasites who come here and feed off of me on a country that I have to support that is $20 trillion in debt. Quickly, we've got a break in about 1 minute. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, it was a great night. We were cheering, but we expect them to follow through now. I mean, we want that wall built. We want him to come through on these promises.
This is going to be a tall order, but, and I thank you for the call, he does have a Republican House and Senate. And if anybody in the House and Senate got the message last night, it was loud and clear. Maybe they'll realize that the sentiment of the American public is such that they don't have to worry any longer, too, about getting beat up in the media about it, because nobody trusts mainstream media anymore. Everybody knows mainstream media is filled with nothing but scoundrels, liberals, communists, and other sexual perverts, I guess you could say. I don't know. I threw that one in there just for, trying to make a list here. Bill Cowley with you. About 20 minutes to go. I've got another short break coming up. You're listening to News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. We'll talk to you on the other side of the break in just a moment. I hope you can stick around. We've got a lot coming up. Tim Kaine, by the way, still speaking. No Hillary. I'm melting. Ah! The Queen just took the stage 2 minutes ago in New York City, and we're going to share some of her droning on with you right now on KLIX. If we can get back to that potentially. I think we can hear some of this.
Hopeful, inclusive, and big-hearted. We have seen that our nation is more deeply divided than we thought. But I still believe in America, and I always will. And if you do, then we must accept this result and then look to the future. Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead. Our constitutional democracy enshrines the peaceful transfer of power. And we don't just respect that, we cherish it. It also enshrines other things: the rule of law, the principle that we are all equal in rights and dignity, freedom of worship and expression. We respect.
Did you hear that? Freedom of worship. She didn't say freedom of religion.
And we must defend them.
There are a lot of women clapping who aren't wearing makeup in this crowd.
And let me add, our constitutional democracy demands our participation, not just every 4 years, but all the time. So let's do all we can to keep advancing the causes and values we all hold dear.
Does that mean men in the little girls' rooms?
Work for everyone, not just those at the top. Protecting our country and protecting our planet, and breaking down all the barriers.
I'm going to kill coal off and then oil and natural gas.
Their dreams. We've spent a year and a half bringing together millions of people from every corner of our country.
And then you didn't show up.
With one voice that we believe that the American dream is big enough for everyone, for people of all races.
Unless you're a baby in the womb.
For men and women, for immigrants, for LGBT people, and people with disabilities.
How about BLT and go light on the bacon? Clap here. Smile here. Get that placard a little higher.
Our responsibility as citizens is to keep doing our part to build that better, stronger, fairer America we seek. And I know you will. I am so grateful to stand with all of you. I want to thank Tim Kaine and Ann Holton for being our partners on this journey.
And now we're going to plot the coup. Except we can't get anybody in the military on my side. But except the LGBT.
Getting to know them better, and it gives me...
Bring your dresses. We're going to have a battle in the street.
...to know that Tim will remain on the front lines of our democracy, representing Virginia in the Senate.
All right, that's enough of that for now. I want to get back to the telephones. She has conceded. It took a long time, but she's waving the white flag of surrender. It took them a long time to decide. I think they looked around, and when they discovered that no one was on their side at this point, at least no one who had any might, they couldn't get anywhere. We're going to get back to the telephones. It's 9:47. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And we're at 44. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air.
Hey, I'm laughing. I love your fill-ins there. That was perfect. I mean, that's exactly what they're saying. I never watch what's it called, MSNBC. I never watched that channel, but I got it on, just seeing what they're saying, and they're going back to the racial. He's racial, and that Donald Trump, and that they're bringing up the birther thing again. I'm going, for crying out loud.
Well, he's the president-elect, and Tim Kaine just said Hillary lost because Americans don't like women, even though half the voters last night happened to be women.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want to let you know that, Bill. Thanks.
I think it's voters don't like gold crones, but that's a story for another day. All right, maybe today. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on Top Story.
Morning, Bill. To quote the great Michelle Obama, for the first time in my adult life, I'm actually proud of my country. Have a good one. This is a great day.
It is a great day for America, as Craig Ferguson would say, who's also a great American. He was naturalized a number of years ago. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on KLIX. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, Bill. I have a question. Perhaps you could answer it for me. Now that Trump has won the election and the Republicans are now in control, what are the local news organizations could be talking about over the next 4 years? Thank you.
That mean Mr. Trump? Oh, he's saving the country, and we worked so hard to destroy it because it's bad. Christianity is bad, and capitalism is bad, and you whitey people over there, you're bad. That's what they'll be talking about. You're up next, and you're on the air on News Radio 1310 KLIX, as well as newsradio1310.com.
Good morning, sir. Today is a great sigh of relief for me. Sorry if I'm being redundant. I didn't get to listen to most of the show. I heard early this morning on the radio they had even announced, people were saying it's time for revolution. Well, these people that don't believe in guns and don't believe in war or anything, what are they going to fight back with? Spitballs and paper clips shot from rubber band?
And of all people, Megyn Kelly, during the course of the early morning hours, who was not a Trump friend, when Hillary Clinton wouldn't come out on stage last night and concede, Megyn Kelly said, what if it was the other way around and Donald Trump wouldn't come out? She said, you know what the media would say? And if Donald Trump had lost and started talking about revolution in the streets, you know what the media would say? But Lefty over there, Lefty wants to go out and he's gonna try to. You're right. There's no firearms. They don't own them. They don't know how to use them. Lefty wants to come out, and what Lefty wants to do, he's going to come out like Curly Joe Besser, and try to hit you. And I don't like that. I'm fearing them right now. I'm quaking in my shoes.
That's funny.
Thank you much for the call. We have another caller joining us. We've got about 10 minutes to go this morning. Top story. And of course, I recommend the Rush Limbaugh program following me today because this is going to be a great day for Rush. You're on the air.
Hey, the thing I heard about this morning about the website being shut down with all the immigration going supposedly to Canada is kind of most big bull, I guess. Because if they want to leave, I believe they should get a free pass and get the heck out of our country. Because we need people who can support this country and make it great like how everyone wants to be.
Yeah, I'm just so disappointed because the left and all of their little they've divided everybody up into all these little groups. They that's the only way they can manage the country is to divide everybody into certain categories. They don't have a long-term plan. They believe somehow that destroying the country is the best thing for the country. But the rest of us, we don't want anything to do with that. And if you don't like it, join Cher. She said she's going to Canada. There's a whole raft of those people. The Canadians, I'm not sure want them at all. But you know what? We can always give them a flotation device and drop them over the Pacific Ocean. And then eventually they can drift up to some atoll somewhere and spend the rest of their lives there cracking coconuts open. They'll be happy with that. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com.
Yeah, a lot of those people were wondering why it was late when, like, Trump won Florida and all that stuff. Well, here's my theory. A lot of us were out working, not sitting slobbering over our mailbox for our free check. So it took us a while to get to the polls in places. And, those other people, they had all day to go vote. So that's what I think. Have a good day.
Thank you. Well, they got up at noon. I don't know that they had all day. When you're out dealing dope till 4 or 5 a.m., you don't necessarily get out of bed too early. We have another caller joining us, and you're up next. You're on the air on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.
Good morning, Bill. It's another beautiful day to be an American,
Hey,
isn't
Pat, long time no see.
Hey, this is an emotional day for me, and I got to thank you and all your callers. I think everybody in this nation. I honestly knew, Bill, there was more good people that were going to do the right thing, and I'm so proud of them, and it's a great day, Mr. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you much for the call, sir. Pat, I got to meet him at the county fair. Super guy, and we need more Americans like him. Bill Colley with you this morning on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And speaking of great people, I got a chance to talk to some of the people who are working at Waddell and Reed here in Twin Falls the other day, and they've gotten behind this program, which tells me if they have confidence in what we're doing, I'm flattered. And I'd like to remind you, Waddell and Reed, they will put together an investment plan for you. We've all got to think about the day we will no longer be working. They can do it, and they'll construct this for your individual needs. They've been in business since 1937. Now, I was telling them the other day, I said, that's longer than even most car dealers here in the Magic Valley and throughout the Mountain West, which is astounding because a lot of those are passed down through generations of families. One of the oldest firms to offer mutual funds. In fact, they have 2 mutual fund families. They're not going to be wild with your money. It's not like a casino. It's a very conservative investment firm. They know what they're doing. They'd like to take a more planned approach with what you're doing and take a look at each piece of the puzzle for the individual clients. They'll build proper expectations. They won't tell you, hey, this is a get-rich-quick scheme. They're going to tell you patience is a virtue, and they'll help you manage your money. And they're taking planning personally. Bill Colley with you on Top Story, as I mentioned, and we're at 9:54. If we only had a couple more hours. 47 right now. 42, excuse me. I need new glasses as well. You're up next. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bill. Donald Trump had a double win last night in the fact that I think the moving ban is pulling up to Justice Ginsburg's house so she can move to Canada. So with that being the case, he'll have 2 appointments for Supreme Court judges. Thank you very much.
I think Ruth Bader Monhoff there, she actually died 4 years ago, and they've just been propping her up in the chair. And there's a guy that stands behind her, and he just manipulates a string, and her mouth opens and closes. So you get the impression there's something going on there. The Hill today put together a long list of all of the people who threatened politicians, singers, and actors who threatened to go to Canada. Look, we've got a bus service right outside of town here that can help them out. Load them up and take them away. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley at 9:55 on Top Story. Go ahead.
Good morning, Bill. I think it's a great day, but I know how the other side feels because I know how it felt 4 years ago. So in that kind of remnants, I want to tell them, remember what you said. He was elected by us, so sit down and shut up.
He's the president of all people. You're right. I thank you for the call. And I told one of the callers, the liberal callers earlier, this country can't afford to continue. Jim Risch was on the air with us last night, and the senator was pointing out the size of the national debt. And he just said, in the 10 years, we're not going to be able to afford. You're going to have to make choices if we keep going down this road. And the Democrats keep thinking you can have the moon, sun, and stars, and that, they'll just keep squeezing more blood out of you to pay for it. And he said, no, it won't happen. We won't be able to pay for either a military or your Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They're going to be gone. And you need that common sense approach now. You're up next. You're on the air with Bill Colley on Top Story.
Yeah, good morning, Bill. Glad the election turned out the way it did. Nurse Ratchet kept saying democracy. I thought this was a republic.
Yes, Nurse Ratchet. Thank you for the call. Yeah, they're going to be making, because it's been flipping back and forth. So it's just a few thousand votes between them and the popular vote. The libs have been trying to make this case about a national popular vote for several years, and some of your blue states have already gotten on board. And what they'll do is, no matter what the vote is in their states, they like to go with the majority vote, and they're forcing their electors to do that. And that idea, first of all, if you had just a national popular vote that determined the president, we are not 50 provinces. We are 50 states. States. This is a union. United States of America. Again, we're not provinces. Number two, if you do that, then the candidates will focus all their efforts in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Boston, New York, Baltimore, Washington, Miami, and Atlanta, maybe Chicago and Minneapolis in between. And we'll never see them. And they will not care about your needs here in flyover country. Well, I'm sorry, they don't already for the most part. But it'll get worse. That's why we have an electoral college. Some vastly learned men put this country together. And this whole notion, oh, but Bill, they were mean-spirited white men like Donald Trump, and they were old, and that's old is bad. We're going to have to kill all of the old people, just like we kill all of the babies in the womb. Yeah, that'll cut the budget. And all of you old people who voted for Donald Trump, we're coming for you first. God willing, and the creek don't rise, they'll allow me to do this all over again tomorrow morning between 8 and 10 o'clock right here on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. I'm off to get some sleep. Rush Limbaugh following the news at 10 o'clock. Sean Hannity following 1 o'clock news today. Glenn Beck will be crying in his soup after 4 o'clock news today. And Dave Ramsey is back tonight after 7 o'clock.